Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game World Championship in Tokyo, Japan. We started the weekend off with 26 duelists, 12 Dragon duelists, and 10 Duel Links duelists, all vying to become the 2017 World Champion. And now we're down to 4 of each. So thank you for spending some of your Saturday with us here in Tokyo, however you may be watching us. Thanks for making us part of the day. But don't get too distracted if you're playing in your World Championship celebration at the OTS. You don't want to mess up and miss out on your chance at a very cool game, Matt.
Yes. Now, each of these competitors are just 2 matches away from becoming the world champion in their respective division.
They are indeed. And special thanks to everybody watching out in Europe, where I believe it's past midnight already, because one of your own is going to be taking the stage in our semi-final feature match for the main event.
That's right. Marcello Barberi will be in our top 4 feature match, dueling against Faye Milton from Singapore.
Singapore, Faye Milton did a fantastic job representing Singapore. He was first place in the tournament after day 1, and he finished off his opponent in the quarterfinals with relative ease. In fact, he seems to be just cutting through everybody that he comes up against this time. But Marcello Barberi knows a thing or two about going undefeated in large events, considering he's done it, I believe, twice.
That's right.
Twice in a row at the European Championship.
Yes. Barberi is using a True Draco deck against Faye Milton's Dinosaur deck. So this has become the prototypical matchup for this weekend. And with these 2 very skilled duelists facing off right now, I think it'll be a very good representation of what you can expect to see in your World Championship celebrations around the world.
It's strange because the Dinosaur deck has largely done extremely well against True Draco in this event. So much so that pretty much the entire North American team got knocked out in day 1, with only one of them, the only one who played dinosaurs instead. He's the only one who made it.
That's right, Roland
to the
Fang.
top 8.
Roland Fang made it to the top 8, but lost out in the top 8.
Barberi, on the other hand, he's basically caught on to some tech cards that the North American team did not. Specifically, he's been running a lose 1 turn version of the deck, which can slow down the Dinosaur deck and at least get some of its stronger effects to just not happen.
So he's using a full 3 copies of lose 1 turn, plus a copy of Skill Drain.
So he has a chance. But the thing with the traps, though, is you still need to get a turn first. It's just that when he does get that turn, Barberi is uniquely equipped to be able to take advantage of it and slow down the Dinosaur deck. And it's really hard to slow down the Dinosaur deck, considering how easy it is for them to get to their key cards. Between Fossil Dig, getting you a level 6 or lower Dinosaur, which can get you Soul Eating Oviraptor, or either of the 2 baby dinosaurs, Petit Pteranodon, Baby Cerosaurus, and of course you still have Dragonic Diagram in there to get your True Kings. It's just a really easy deck for getting your combo pieces together, and you have a high density of those cards as a result. So that, combined with the fact that there are fewer things to force you to stop your turn. Maxi is limited for this tournament. It's not limited in Japan, and as a result, we don't see so much of the Dinosaur Yang Zing deck in Japan. It didn't really take off here due to the presence of Zoodiac and True Draco, but in the case that either of those is not a thing going forward, Dinosaur, or just this weekend, because you're going to play in this format for the World Championship celebration, you may be seeing a lot more of this Dinosaur deck. So it's a good thing to take a close look at it and see what it looks like in the hands of the master.
Yes, Faye Milton is also using an interesting card that's not in all of the decks, Lost World.
Lost World is the field spell exclusive to the Dynasmashers Fury structure deck. In addition to being kind of the reverse seal of Orichalcos, dropping the attack of everything that's not a dinosaur by 500, it has a number of other effects that help it to mess with your opponent's ability to play their own game, and indeed get your game going further by creating the Jura Egg token, destroying it with Oviraptor, and then substituting that destruction with the destruction of a baby dinosaur in your deck. It looks like our duelists are ready. Marcello is in fact going to get his turn, and he starts off with Pot of Desires.
He banishes the top 10 cards of his deck and waits for a response, and Milton activates Ghost Ash from his hand.
Yep, Ash Blossom.
So 10 cards are banished from the duel for good, but no cards are returned to Barberi's hand.
Barberi is playing He's playing a 40-card deck. We had seen a few duelists were thinking of going higher than that to accommodate all the extra banishing from Desires, because they wanted to be able to play multiples in a single duel. However, none of them are left. 2 cards face down. And Marcello passes his turn. We'll see if he's got something to stop the dinosaur shenanigans. Milton starts off by activating True King Agnimazud the Vanisher from his hand. Agnimazud needs to destroy 2 monsters, including at least 1 fire monster from your hand or field. He takes out Miscellaneousaurus and Petit Pteranodon. That's pretty good. While Miscellaneousaurus doesn't activate its protection effect in this way, it puts it in the graveyard so that he can activate its effect to summon a tuner. Starts with lose 1 turn. That's pretty good. That's going to keep some damage temporarily off the table by negating the effect of special summon monsters for the turn, and then switching any special summon monster that's summoned in attack position to defense position. One of those effects activates, the other does not. But there are no main deck copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit in Milton's deck, so we will not see lose 1 turn taken out that way. Yeah, that's actually what happened. I saw somebody play it in the North American WCQ. They played it, and then when a special summon happened and the effect to switch to defense triggered, it was hit by Ghost Ogre. But Ghost Ogre, not a popular main deck choice here.
It's interesting that it creates the sort of a drawback in that it's able to trigger in that way.
Half is pure continuous, half is trigger.
Either way, Petit Pteranodon should activate.
It does indeed. However, the monster that it summons will also have its effect negated and be switched to defense.
Yes, thanks to lose 1 turn.
And it's not just attack position monsters that are negated, it's all special summon monsters for the turn. It's just it only activates the secondary ability to switch to defense if it's summoned in attack position. So that's another thing you have to think about.
Also, since Petit Pteranodon is not a fire monster, he did not get the second effect of his True King.
Indeed, and it seems like the question right now is whether or not Petit Pteranodon has to summon here. And it does. Basically, Milton activates Petit Pteranodon first because it's a trigger effect, and lose 1 turn is chained to it. So he's not allowed to go back and say, well, no, I'm not activating it. Because that's what the rules of the game are. The trigger effects have to be first.
Assuming he activated it already. Is it a mandatory effect?
And they are indeed clarifying how lose 1 turn works down there. So they'll get that wrapped up, and we will go and grab you the text of Petit Pteranodon.
It actually is a mandatory effect. It reads, if this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, special summon 1 level 4 or higher dinosaur-type monster from your deck, but it cannot attack this turn.
Indeed, so it will be Chainlink 1, as it is mandatory. And then, after that, Marcello is allowed to flip his lose 1 turn, which he has. Oh, I'm pretty sure I know what they're talking about here. So Milton, because it was activated on the summon of True King Agnimazud, he's arguing that his monster should not be switched to defense.
Which monster? The monster summoned by
the monster that was summoned there. He's saying lose 1 turn wasn't face up when the monster is actually summoned, so you shouldn't be able to activate the effect that happens when a monster was summoned. And that is not the case. It should, in fact, switch to defense here. Because you're activating it when the trigger condition happens, it's treated almost like a regular trap card. We saw a lot of the same thing with, is it Recreate? Recreate is the skill drain for Clifford's, that you can activate that when the monster is summoned and still have its effect trigger. So our judges are getting this sorted out. I do believe that Barberry will prevail in these proceedings. He's explaining his side of the story to the judges.
I don't think there's any confusion about what happened. I think it's just a confusion about how lose 1 turn works.
Yes. And it looks like they have gotten the answer, and it does indeed work the way that Marcello believes it does.
Yes. So Agnimazud is in defense position, and Milton gets to special summon a level 4 or higher dinosaur from his deck, but it can't attack this turn. It switched to defense position anyway.
And its effects are negated.
So it won't be attacking this turn anyway.
So I guess the question is, do you just get the biggest dinosaur on your deck and throw it out there?
That would make sense.
There's not a whole lot you can do combo-wise here. Not with all of your monsters being negated when they hit the field. It looks like we have an update from Duel Links. Their semifinals are going on right now. Timmy has won game 1 of Duel Links with a Taya deck-out strategy.
Oh. Probably with the dual standby skill.
Hmm.
Only Taya can learn that ability.
It's interesting that Taya has a unique ability.
Yes, most of the duelists do. Maybe even all the duelists.
She always dueled so infrequently
Yeah.
in
well,
the TV series.
it's quite a strong ability also, because both of you and your opponent start with an extra card in your opening hand.
Hmm.
So it's valuable to the duelist using the deck out strategy.
Ah, so he's going to go with Miscellaneousaurus there.
Okay, not a bad choice, because Miscellaneousaurus will also have an effect once it's in the graveyard.
Indeed, and it also makes for a very good material for a Synchro Summon.
That's right.
And he goes ahead and banishes Miscellaneousaurus for Jurak Aolo. And it looks like he is going to try to do some combo-y stuff here. Probably at least put Denlong onto the field.
He won't be able to use its effect, though, to search on this turn.
Alright. Goes ahead and normal summons. Yeah, he would only get the graveyard effect to special summon. And there's Tyranno Infinity, I believe. That's not a card that you see too often, but a lot of decks play one copy of it. And as he's looking up the text, let's go ahead and look it up for you as well. Tyranno Infinity is a level 4 dinosaur type monster. It's Earth. And its original attack is the number of your banished dinosaur type monsters times 1,000. So one of the great things with Miscellaneousaurus is that even though it's normally only banished by itself to summon a level 1 monster, you can actually banish any number of dinosaurs to summon a monster equal to that level.
Banish 4 of it, it turns your Tyranno Infinity into an Obelisk the Tormentor.
Pretty good, right? It is sent to the graveyard along with Iolo. Special summon Denlong. It will be negated as well. So he's got a 5 and a 2. The effect still activates, though. And Milton, he seems to be arguing something else here.
He's searching his deck.
That does not seem correct.
Oh, he's chaining the effect to modify its level. Is that a quick effect that you can use on your own turn?
It's not a quick effect, it's just an ignition effect. But I believe it is a cost.
Actually, it is.
It's a quick effect?
No, it's a cost.
Yeah, it's a
so
cost.
he's going to use the effect to modify the level, send Q into the graveyard, and even though the effect is negated, he gets Q in there.
Right.
That actually came up in a duel I had against Robert Boyajian the other night.
Alright, and we are following our extra safe shuffling procedures here. So our judges took care of that for Milton. And Barbari's back up. It's quite a lot of defense points on the field. Denlong's pretty hefty on its own. Second Pot of Desires. This one's going to go through. But I bet Barbari's deck is going to be very thin at this point.
Wow. I feel like it's always tough to come back after you've used Pot of Desires twice. Even if you did resolve both successfully and drew 4 cards off it, losing half the cards in your deck is usually pretty costly.
He should have around 13 cards left at this point, banishing 20 for Pot of Desires, drawing 2, and having his opening hand of 5, plus that 1 draw for this turn. So I guess that puts him at 12.
Yeah, it's tough though because Barbari's deck does search the deck a lot, and a lot of the cards he may want are more likely to be in the banish pile than they are to be in his deck.
Yeah, that opening Ash Blossom was pretty huge. Over in Duel Links, we have Timmy winning his match. He moves on to the finals. Samsung Yoshida has also won his first game in Duel Links.
Barberry sets one more card and then tributes it. It's a True Draco Heritage. Tributes it for Dynamite, the True Draco fighter.
And he goes back over to the graveyard there. You got to be careful with that. One of the criteria specifically for slow play is repetitive actions, including checking the graveyard. And he's done it quite a few times in just this turn. Goes to battle. Attacks a True King.
Milton sends it to the graveyard.
I don't really think there's anything he could possibly do about that.
No, doesn't look like it with no face down cards.
Another card gets set. And now Barberry's in business. But he's got to work fast. You don't get too many turns against this deck, even with lose a turn. Milton's thinking about this.
Yeah, he checks his own graveyard.
27 minutes, 30 seconds left in the match.
Both players want to be very meticulous in this match. They don't want to make any errors that cost them the World's Championship.
The problem is, you don't get more time.
That's true.
You got to play the game like every other game.
It's still Yu-Gi-Oh!
Soul Eating Oviraptor, normal summoned. And Barberry goes back to the graveyard. Now, one of the great things about Soul Eating Oviraptor, and one of the reasons it's so strong against decks like this, is that you can go and search for a kaiju.
Yeah, Doggeron's a dinosaur, right?
It is indeed.
So that can come in handy against the duelist who is using the Winwich deck that's able to summon the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon that is otherwise difficult to get over.
Indeed. Forner could be having a difficult time over in his semifinal match as a result. Michael Forner, who we saw last night in round 5, or rather in the quarterfinals.
Barberry uses Solemn Warning to negate the summon of the Soul Eating Oviraptor, so he pays 2,000 life points, and he doesn't have to worry about what the Oviraptor is going to do.
I think he might if that other Miscellaneousaurus can wind up in the graveyard. And it can.
To special summon another, well, why? To special summon another from the deck, its effect would be negated
Oh, yes. it would.
because of lose one turn. He really needed that normal summon to happen.
That's right.
Yeah, lose one turn only negates the effects of special summon monsters, so using Solemn Warning on that Soul Eating Oviraptor was incredibly valuable, since it was a normal summon.
Just thinking about it, takes a look at his extra deck. Well, that's interesting. I get the distinct feeling that he is not going to attempt an extra deck summon.
I can't imagine he would, since whatever he summons would also be negated, have its effect negated by lose one turn.
And be switched to defense.
Yeah, unless he plans to tribute the lose one turn, which is also possible. But I feel like he is quite ahead here. He clearly sees Milton struggling. I would be reluctant to give up this position with your lose one turn backing up all your plays and your Dynamite asserting the pressure.
He just needs a way to get past the 2,600 defensive Denlong.
That is the one problem. But eventually, perhaps he'll draw Masterpiece, unless it's in the banish zone already, with half his deck.
So over in the Duel Links semifinals, we've got our rematch between Charlie Futch and Ryan Yu, and Ryan Yu has won the first game of it, which you kind of expect a Chain Burn deck to do. Like, that's the thing it does best, is win game 1.
Yeah, it's an interesting match in the duel, Dragon Duel.
It is.
Semis.
ABC versus Chain Burn.
Yeah, I don't think anyone predicted that.
Both duelists did fantastically yesterday. And you got to see them both as well. And if you missed their matches, when the VODs go up on this, you've got to see them. They are two of the most incredible matches of this tournament.
Milton summons Ultimate Conductor Tyranno in defense position due to lose one turn.
Its defense points are quite high, are they not?
I believe they are. I think they're stronger than the Dynamite's attack points. even if not, he is able to use his ultimate Tyranno's effect on his opponent's turn. It will no longer be negated by lose one turn at that point.
Indeed.
And then on his own turn, he can, of course, use its own effect again.
It's got 3,200 defense.
Ooh. Rude Draco Apocalypse is tributed by Barbarian. He normal summons another Dynamite. So now he gets to use the effect of his Apocalypse to destroy the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno.
And presumably Milton's going to chain its ability. Indeed he does, and Dynamite is activated in response. And the great thing here is that he's going to be able to flip summon the one Dynamite back up. And it'll still be a tribute summoned monster. Won't know what was tributed for it, for example, but it'll still be tribute summoned. It'll be both tribute summoned and flip summoned.
So Milton destroys the baby Ceratosaurus in his hand so that he gets to activate its effect after the chain resolves. So all of Barbari's monsters go face down. The Ultimate Conductor Tyranno is destroyed, and then baby Ceratosaurus will special summon a monster from the deck. However, that monster's effect will be negated due to lose one turn.
You know, I just realized I did not look to see what sort of removal Milton plays for a card like lose one turn. Does he have any? He should have some Cyclones. Yes, he has 3 Cosmic Cyclones and simply hasn't seen them yet. So Barbarian needs to work fast. As Milton thins out his deck even more, the chance that he'll draw it out increases.
Yeah, it's tough for Barbari also because he's going to run out of cards eventually if this stalemate continues.
Flips up a Dynamite Knight. I'm not sure that that is the one that was actually not just summoned, but the effect is the same. Meanwhile, we already have a result in our other semifinal match. That was fast. And the winner is Ryosuke Sugimura of Japan. And so we're going to have at least one dinosaur deck in the finals.
If Milton wins, we'll have 2.
Barbari's doing his very best to stop him, though. At the very least, he has lasted longer than his teammate.
Barbari flip summons his Dynamite, the True Draco Fighter.
Indeed, Sugimura is also playing dinosaurs.
Oh, he's combining his 2 Dynamites to perform an Xyz summon.
Really?
Seems a little dangerous with lose
Wow,
one turn on
what's
the field
he-
as well.
What's he going for here? Does he have anything that's unaffected by his own card effects? Ptolemy M7 in defense mode.
Oh, that's interesting, because he can use it to return Denglong to the extra deck during his opponent's turn.
Is Ptolemy M7 a quick effect?
I believe it is.
Or are you thinking of Pleiades?
I might be thinking of Pleiades.
Ptolemy M7. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card and target monster on the field or in either graveyard. Return that target to the hand. It is not a quick effect.
Not a quick effect. So then I don't know where this is going. Its effect is negated. It can't do anything this turn. It only has 2,000 defense points.
Well, it's certainly going to the extra monster zone. It's been shoved at the center of the table. Meanwhile, back over in Duel Links, Tutpup has won his. Yes, he's won his match. So the finals there are going to be Timmy versus Tutpup.
We haven't featured Timmy yet, but we did feature Tutpup yesterday.
Meanwhile, over in our other Dragon Duel, we have Raphael Reich taking on Eric Topple. And Rafael has won his first game.
So Milton is banishing dinosaurs from his graveyard. Looks like Soul Eating Oviraptor and Miscellaneous Saurus. So he gets to special summon a level 2 dinosaur.
That'll be a baby, most likely. I don't think there are any others.
I'm really curious about this M7 play.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's going for here. He's probably... Now, over on this side, there's a chance that he's going to try to go into Yazi here and get something untargetable. I don't know why he'd do that, though. That doesn't seem useful. There's got to be something else in his hand. It is a... Oh, it's a true King Lithosage of the Disaster.
Okay, it'll switch to... Did he tribute summon it?
Yeah, it appears he did.
So it is not switched to defense position by lose 1 turn.
Indeed.
That's a clever play. Oh, and Barbaria was a little confused himself. He thought it was special summoned. Milton clarified that it was a tribute summon.
It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to special summon in this case because Ptolemy M7 is bigger than it on either end. But if it gets to stay in attack position, M7 only has 2,000 defense.
That's right. Now he just needs to connect with an attack to destroy M7.
It's just very confusing to me why M7 is here.
Special summons Baxia. Is that with the effect of Denglong?
Yes, it's just when it leaves the field, and it's an if effect, not a when you can effect. It seems very likely that M7 isn't going to make it.
Well, it really depends what Barbaria's face down card is.
Yeah, it would have to be another Apocalypse, I'd think.
Or he could, yeah, no. That's it. It's gone. He'll use True King's Return to bring back the Dynamite, the True Draco Fighter. Maybe that's why he did it. He thought it was kind of a free roll to do the Xyz summon, since he can get the Dynamite back so easily with True King's Return.
Archello's picked up another monster, though. That could be very handy.
Is it a good one? Is it one for him to tribute summon?
I believe it's Ignis Heat.
That would be handy. Tributing True King's Return would let him destroy an opponent's monster.
Special summons on his own turn with True King's Return. Now, if he still has a Disciple of the True Draco Phoenix in his deck, he'd be able to at least get some cards back in there and start to take out the possibility of being defeated by deck depletion.
That is true. He does play 3 copies. It is possible all of them are banished by the 2 Pot of Desires he activated. But I'd say it's more likely that he has at least 1 left.
He's doing some math here. He tributes. He's thinking of tributing off his True King's Return.
He will do that for the Ignis Heat that he just picked up. True King's Return will activate. He gets to destroy an opponent's monster. I imagine he'll pick the True Draco.
I don't know if there's a point
or
in
rather
destroying Bian here.
Rather the True King. Lithosage. Yeah, if he destroys Bian, its effect will just activate, allowing Milton to replace it. Ignis Heat will also activate.
Well, no, so will True King, though. It also has an effect when destroyed.
Oh, that's true also. It gets a special summon a non-earth worm monster from the graveyard.
From the graveyard, I believe. Which would be Denlong, which he can't actually do anything about.
Okay, so he...
Yeah, so
good
I
call.
guess it is Bian.
It's the slightly more effective play.
Ooh, does he not have any left? Yeah, if he doesn't have any left or chooses not to use it.
Okay. Dynamite attacks, destroys the True King.
Ignis Heat gets in there. Barbelli finally makes a scratch in Milton's life points. And then picks up another couple of cards off of True Draco Heritage. This could finally be the break he needed, but he still needs to act fast before that deck runs out.
Well, if Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix is still left in his deck, now that he has Ignis Heat, he'll be able to search for it.
Indeed. All right, and then he tribute summons the third Dynamite Knight using the extra tribute summon ability, sets a card, and now Milton is the one that's in big trouble. He's not going to be able to outlast that. I'm not even sure that something like Cosmic Cyclone would help that much at the moment. It might be too little too late.
I think you're right.
He only got 2 cards in hand, right? He's got a Miscellaneous Source in the graveyard, though?
He does. So, but with lose 1 turn on the field, it's not going to be the most effective card.
All right, he goes 2. True King's Return hits the field. And there's not very many cards left in there. There's only 3. Can't take that long to shuffle a 3-card deck. Milton just trying to outlast those last 3 cards.
Yeah. He special summons Baby Sarasaurus. He might be able to do it, but if, in fact, Barberi does have Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix at his disposal, that'll probably extinguish all hope Milton has of winning.
If you could get another Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, that might be nice.
Maybe. Again, the turn, he doesn't have that many cards to keep destroying to set his opponent's monsters.
He doesn't need to, though, because he's got 3,200 defense.
That's true, too. He can wall up with it. That's a good point.
And there it is.
If Barberi has a monster to tribute summon, however, he'll be able to tribute the True King's Return and just destroy it.
Indeed. And I think that came from the graveyard. No, it did not. No, it came from the hand. So he did indeed have the second copy. For a second there, I thought this was one of those summoned from hand or graveyard ones, but it is not. And there's the Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix.
That's really, really good.
That'll at least get him monsters back into the deck. Sends 2 traps.
Along with the Dynamite.
Yep. His monsters are 3 Heat, 3 Dynamite, 1 Maiden, 1 Masterpiece.
Milton lets it resolve.
And now he just has to get a monster.
I really doubt Milton had an answer to that. Or I suspect he would have used something like Ghost Ogre.
Man, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, that was a pretty nice one to get your hands on. Let's see what he's got. Well, at worst, at least the monster's back in the deck, so he will draw it at some point.
Yes, it's inevitable. And if he wants to, he can probably destroy some of the monsters on his field to draw those again by sending them back with Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix, so he won't run out. He can use his Dynamites as Xyz materials, for example. Cosmic Cyclone by Barberi.
Interesting. What's he going to take out with it?
It looks like he's targeting his face down card.
What was it?
I can't see where I can't see what it was.
It's a terraforming.
Oh, it's terraforming?
Now he activates Pot of Duality. Well, if there's only 3 cards left,
He gets another Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix. Milton cuts his deck directly in half. Now Barberi gets to draw the top card. Oh, no. Oh, no. No, he didn't use the Disciples effect.
No.
Sorry. That was after the Pot of Duality.
We're getting there. Not quite there.
I think we'll get there.
Has he got 3 cards in his graveyard?
I don't know. And can you only use the effective Disciples once per turn?
Yeah.
So. The important thing is he keeps increasing his deck size instead of decreasing it every turn.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if he has an Apocalypse in there somewhere.
He may have shuffled it back in. I know he tributed one, at least at one point this duel.
And it looks like the rematch over in Dragon Duel between Charlie Futch and Ryan Yu has gone very much the same way as it did the first time. Ryan Yu and his Chain Burn deck are on to the finals of Dragon Duel.
It was a good run for Charlie Futch with his ABC deck.
Yep. It's just if you're not prepared for the Chain Burn deck, there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
Yeah, it's hard to beat. You think he might be so scarred by the loss, he puts Hanewada and other anti-burn cards into his side deck for his next tournament?
Unlikely.
Looks like Chua used the effect of his Ultimate Conductor Tyranno
Mm-hmm.
on Barberi's turn to put all the monsters face down.
And he destroyed a Lithosagium, which he's going to use to revive Agnimazud, which also goes to defense.
Barberi switches its position.
And in main phase 2, Barberi flip summons all of his monsters. Is it still main phase 1?
It must have been main phase 1 because now he's attacking.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But still he can't get over the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno.
Indeed. And Ultimate Conductor Tyranno can attack everything. Or is it only face down monsters? Are they confusing it with regular Conductor Tyranno? Or regular Ultimate Tyranno? All monsters your opponent controls, once each.
It's only after it uses its effect it can attack all of them.
No, you can just do it.
It can just do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's strong here, depending on what Barberi has.
Let's find out what that last card is. Show me Apocalypse.
Ah, it is Apocalypse.
There it is. That is, as they say, the good stuff.
You don't see this a lot. He has 5 continuous cards in his back row.
That's some Cliffort level stuff right there.
Tributes True King's Return. Well, rather destroys it with the Apocalypse,
All right.
thereby destroying the Conductor.
And Barberi is able to finish him off. That was a real up and down duel.
It was. It was pretty drawn out, but it seemed like Barberi was ahead for a long time.
And you can see now, like, this is why lose one turn is there.
Yes, this win was mostly due to the effect of
that
lose
is-
one turn.
That is what won the game, is lose one turn.
100%.
And Barberi is very, very smart to include it there. I'm surprised we didn't see more of it, given how many people were playing Dracos. Joshua Schmidt was also running lose one turn as well. And I got a little bit more information on that as we go along.
I think a lot of duelists built their decks prepared to duel against True Draco decks, and
Mhm.
lose one turn isn't as effective against a True Draco deck since
Yeah.
it doesn't special summon. It's like part of what makes it so strong in the deck
Mhm.
is part of what makes it so weak against the deck.
Yeah, if you think that the majority are going to play True Draco, you'd play something like Zombie World, I guess, or bring in the set rotation.
And
package,
some people
something
did.
like that. But if you think you're going to play against dinosaurs a lot, but you still want to stick with True Draco, then lose one turn is a great way to do it. It's a continuous trap. It has an effect similar to Skill Drain, but it's got the bonuses of kind of a pseudo level limit area B, where you get half of a Skill Drain and a turn of free defense against huge monsters, and you need that a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of times the Draco deck, if one of your draw cards is disrupted, you're not able to do anything because a lot of them are hard once per turn, like Pot of Desires or Card of Demise. So when that gets hit by Ash Blossom, normally you would have to stop. But if you've got lose one turn, you can at least survive and get to the next turn without losing a huge chunk of your life points in the process. And if you don't need any more, you can always just tribute it away.
Yes, and that's how Barberi got to the top 4 with his True Draco deck in a field full of dinosaurs.
And I think that's definitely the best tech pick for the True Draco duelists in this tournament.
Yeah.
Just lose one turn, by far.
I mean, a lot of people were talking about Skullmeister, a lot of the players this
Mhm.
weekend, but I didn't really see an impact of it, at least on stream.
Yeah, it hasn't really cropped up, has it? And it hasn't even... A lot of it's because the True Draco players aren't main decking many of those cards.
That's
like some
true.
of them are. The US players I know were really big on Ash Blossom,
Yes.
but not all of them had Skullmeister. And in this case, it looks like Skullmeister's just completely out. I don't even think Barbari is side decking it.
He's not. It's nowhere on his list.
No, it's just Ash Blossom, Ghost Ogre. But he does have Vanity's Fiend. So if I had to pick a second choice as to what the most interesting tech card in True Draco would be, it'd be Vanity's Fiend.
Yeah.
It's another tribute summon monster, so it works alongside lose one turn. And once you get that kind of locked in there, there's really not a whole lot your opponent can do. The Dinosaur deck in particular is so special summon heavy that once you put that 2400 attack monster out there that stops them from special summoning at all, a lot of their card effects just cease to exist.
Yeah. I think we can expect to see Barbari put in the Vanity's Fiend in the second duel.
He's also got some Time Lords for other True Draco decks, but that's not as much of an issue here. So I think we could see some Ash Blossom, maybe Ghost Ogre, and probably thinking Vanity's Fiend. Meanwhile, over on Milton's side, let's take a look at what he has got. He's probably got a lot of stuff for the mirror match there. So he's got Skullmeister, Strike, more Kaijus, Time Lords of his own. We'll probably see his Zephion come in. Twin Twisters. Forbidden Chalice is actually quite good in this matchup. And then he's got more monster removal in the form of Mirror Force, like original Mirror Force, and then Quaking Mirror Force as well. I kind of like original Mirror Force here because if you just get those monsters off the field, that's nice. Quaking Mirror Force also pretty good though because you can just get them stuck there and then eat them all with Ultimate Conductor Tyranno.
That's true.
And Milton chooses to go second here, allowing Arcello to start by setting a monster, 3 cards, and then activating Card of Demise.
So far, so good. He picks up 3 cards from his deck.
I wonder what that set monster could be. It would have to be something he sided in.
Yeah, nothing in his main deck can be set.
Nope.
At least without tribute. It was an Ash Blossom.
It's an Ash Blossom.
Pretty good.
Tributes. Oh, double tributes for Masterpiece.
Wow. Activates True Draco Heritage, uses the effect to draw 1 card, thanks to the tributed True Draco Phoenix.
A strong opening, but he's got to remember that Milton not only has Kaijus, he can search them out.
That's true. And if you put in the Mirror Force or the Quaking Mirror Force, that can also be used against Masterpiece, since it is not immune to trap cards, since he did not tribute a trap card.
Indeed. That's part of the great thing about Milton's side deck there, is that you're not expecting trap cards out of this deck. You're expecting 1 trap card, 9 pillars.
Yes, it's a good way to diversify the threats to get around Masterpiece.
Activates Miscellaneousaurus from his hand. That'll protect his dinosaur monsters from activated effects for the rest of this phase.
He knows Barbari has a Cosmic Cyclone, since he just got it with the duality and set it.
And I do believe that I see a Soul Eating Oviraptor.
Top 4 participants.
Twin Twisters.
Please go into your 3-turn end of match procedure.
Alright, so time has ended. However, this match has at least 5 minutes of stoppage time added onto it. Another Card of Demise and a Cosmic Cyclone are eliminated. No Solemns there.
Yeah, he discarded a Suwani to do it. Now he summons Soul Eating Oviraptor.
And he's not going to have the Ash Blossom here because he had to tribute it earlier for Masterpiece.
It looks like Barbari actually has no hand at all.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't. He played Card of Demise last turn.
That's a good point. That would explain why he had no hand.
Searches out Dogoran, but the good thing about making them search out Dogoran is that at least it's not another dinosaur. It
Yeah.
can still be a piece of a combo though, since Oviraptor can destroy a dinosaur on either field.
Yes, and unfortunately for Barbari, because of Miscellaneousaurus, he can't even use Masterpiece to destroy the Oviraptor.
Indeed, he cannot.
Miscellaneousaurus is now banished from the graveyard to special summon Kurak Aeolo from the deck, and he tunes it with the Oviraptor to synchro summon a level 5 monster. He chooses Denglong, unsurprisingly.
Oh, hold up. Soul Eating Oviraptor only destroys level 4 lower dinosaurs.
Destroys level, but can
Yeah.
it search for any?
So it's going to search for anything, but only targets a level 4 or lower, so Dogoran gets to live. Yangzing Path is the choice there, so he probably already has the pillars, because he doesn't have 3 Yangzing cards.
He does
in his
not.
Graveyard.
He only has 1, I think. The Denglong would be a second. He can send another one. He can send Qin, which he will do to use its effect and change its level to 1.
Actually, I thought I saw the 9 pillars in his deck as he was going through it. Ultimate Conductor is next. And Milton says that's fine.
He uses his Conductor Tyranno's effect. He destroys the Denglong, so that puts a 3rd Yangzing into his graveyard. So he was planning ahead to use that Yangzing's path.
No, he's going to special summon Chiwen. He's going to set up probably Negation first. Nope, he gets Suani. Has he only got 1? Yeah, only got 1. Alright, so the monsters are summoned. And he now checks his graveyard here. I guess he wants to put up a second Denglong. And that one would be even bigger. It'd be 3,100 defense. And Marcello wants to concede for time.
Where would the 3,100 defense come from?
Plus 500 for Suani.
Does Suani increase defense points as well as attack points?
Yep, attack and defense.
Oh.
That's why it's so hard to get past things like Baxia. So it appears that Marcello has had enough of this one and wants to preserve as much time as he can of their stoppage time. I don't know if that's going to be the case, though. Unless they have a little more, they would only have a minute and a half. So they would have to side deck extremely quickly for this to not become a 4-turn duel.
Milton takes back his Dogoran, and they shuffle up for the final duel.
So a little rough there. Marcello looked like he was starting off pretty strong, but unable to counter the effect of Soul Eating Oviraptor. That allowed and that combined with Miscellaneousaurus rendered Masterpiece ineffective. And Milton was able to field enough monsters and damage that Marcello didn't see a way to win this one, prompting him to concede for time.
Yeah, we'll see if that concession pays off. I can't imagine it really will, because it looks like they're going to go to time regardless.
It could be, though, that Marcello wants to make sure that he gets to side deck for it. Because if time runs out beforehand, they would not get to side deck for the extra game.
That could be. Marcello might think the cards in his side deck are better for time than the cards in his opponent's side deck. Camion does damage, right?
Camion does 500 when I shuffle something into the deck.
So he might be putting those in.
Oh, he could put Camion in.
He'll-
Zaphion does not do any damage,
He'll probably want to take out his Cosmic Cyclones,
likely.
since those cost life points. Definitely will want to take out Upstart Goblin. He runs one copy of that.
I mean, we saw what happened specifically in the European Championship. It was won because Upstart Goblin was played in time.
So he's not going to want that to happen again.
Yeah, I think the plan here might be just to slam Vanity's Fiend on the table and hope.
I think so. And Skilgrin also costs life points. So yeah, I can definitely see that he would want to have the ability to side deck to prepare for the 3rd and final duel.
He's got some stuff in the extra deck as well that does damage.
Yeah, I see Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend.
He's got Piercing.
Volcasaurus.
Yeah, Volcasaurus in there. Piercing from Gaia Dragon. Number 39, Utopia Beyond, can drop everything's attack to 0. Get some damage in that way. But we will see how long their extra time lasts before we go into our end of match procedure. It looks like they're going to get the game off in time, at least.
Yeah. Doesn't look like Milton has any cards in his side deck that inflict damage. And in his extra deck, I don't see anything that inflicts damage either. His Ancient Fairy Dragon, which
Gains life,
gains
which is
life.
just as good if you run out of time.
it is. But other than that, I'd say with this being the 3rd and final duel, And both players having now side decked, I think Marcello Barberi is at the advantage.
And he's chosen to go first here, and we've just received word from Robbie, who is our field reporter and doing an excellent job keeping us apprised as to what's happening at the table. Time was called, so this will be turn 0 of the 3-turn end of match, which means that Milton will have the last turn.
So Barberi has a choice of Terraforming, Dynamite, and Vanity's Fiend. Terraforming and Vanity's Fiend both seem pretty powerful there, but having no ability to actually summon the Vanity's Fiend this turn, he does go for the Terraforming, which he activates. He loses out to Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. That's really powerful. He wouldn't
Yeah.
have taken the Terraforming if he already had the one copy of Draconic Diagram, so it's obviously a very strong play to negate it.
But again, Milton has the Ash Blossom on turn 1.
Yeah, no, that's been a very defining card in this tournament.
Sets 2, activates card or demise. That's what, 1, 2, 3? He only gets 1 card out of it?
Wow.
That's brutal.
Yeah, that's pretty weak.
Oh, I believe I saw a spell card in there.
Looked like he had a spell card.
I think it was True Draco Heritage.
If he doesn't have a monster to tribute it for, it's not particularly useful.
Well, he's probably got monsters. He has to have some sort of monsters, otherwise he wouldn't have drawn just 1 card off card or demise. Sets 2 face down. And tributes them both for Masterpiece. And they are both spells.
Ooh.
That's rough.
Yeah, so it's only immune to spell cards. It's vulnerable to both traps and monsters.
That's rough. He just has to pray for no Overraptor.
Why do you suppose he drew 1 card with card of demise? He obviously had at least 1 other spell in his hand before he activated it.
Yeah, I'm not certain what happened there. Unless we just missed and he drew 2.
That's possible.
But I don't think the cards work out there. Meanwhile, over on the Dragon Duel side, Raphael has won his match and will be meeting Ryan Yu in the finals.
Wow. Twin Twisters activates. He discards Baby Sarasaurus to try to destroy Barberi's face-down cards, but Imperial Order will negate it,
Ooh.
which is risky in itself because it has a 700 life point payment.
That's a source
cost.
of damage. 2 continuous spells in the graveyard here. And can he get... Oh, Milton's drawn 2 Yang Zings and Miscellaneous Saurus. Is that 2 Yang Zings or is that Tyranno Infinity and Suani?
Can't see from his hand.
The Yang Zings will be able to keep his life points safe.
Yeah, unless he can create a chain and then destroy it with Masterpiece.
Oh, Masterpiece might have to be used to destroy Imperial Order.
Oh, that's true too.
At
He
this
might do
point.
that also. Well, if his face down card is something he can activate, he can chain Masterpiece's effect to destroy Milton's Yangzing, and its effect won't be able to activate, right?
Indeed, but this is a high-pressure situation. Will he realize it? Marcello's a pretty strong player. I'd like to think he will, but strange things can happen when you're under this much pressure, and you know you only get 1 more turn.
Yeah, I don't know what that face down card is, but it seems very likely it would be a trap card that he's holding for this precise situation.
Ideally, you would want to keep the Imperial Order and do the chain trick to clear this monster,
Yes.
and
Because
just do enough damage. You're taking 1,400, and Masterpiece is doing 2,950. But being able to keep the removal and the Imperial Order on the field,
it's very strong. And if he really wanted to, he could also destroy the Imperial Order in his own draw phase with Masterpiece.
it's true. So you could wait to see what he draws.
But if he can, assuming that face down monster is a Yangzing monster, I don't know what exactly what it is, but it's very likely that it is. I think if Barberi were able to flip a trap card and activate Masterpiece to destroy the face down monster, I think that would probably seal him the duel.
That would be correct. And he activates to destroy it. And it is Bian. He had 2 Yang Zings. But the good thing about this is that he now knows what it is.
That's true. So even on his own turn, he can flip a trap card and chain Masterpiece's effect.
Now, the key thing to note, Imperial Order paying for it is not an effect, and it doesn't start a chain. You can't negate it, you can't chain to it. It is a cost. So Barberry basically has one shot at this. Here we go. Even if it's not a trap card, even if he gets a spell, and it's a spell that'll just get negated if he plays it, he can still do the chain trick.
Yeah, and if it's a continuous spell, it'll stick around.
And he's going to take his 700.
This is his last turn, right? Unless the duel's tied up after Milton's last turn.
Indeed.
So he needs to act now. I think there's pretty much nothing he could have that would do nothing.
He
He
needs
needs
to
a card to
activate,
activate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
activate
it's-
anything.
Should be pretty easy.
Or even if he has something to tribute a Yang's or a True King spell or trap for, and to have that start a chain in the graveyard.
Yeah, I mean, he has cards in his hand. It seems almost impossible that he would have nothing. Pot of Duality. He activates it. It's obviously going to be negated by Imperial Order, but he's probably going to use Masterpiece's effect right here and now.
Imperial Order does not stop the activation of spell cards. So he's still allowed to activate it, and he does it. He chains it.
True Draco Heretic is banished.
Draco Heritage banished. Chi-Wen goes down. Neither effect can activate.
Yep, since Q-In activates when something happens instead of if something happens. If it's not the last effect to resolve in the chain, it doesn't activate at all.
And it's not mandatory either. So Barberry has pulled ahead, 2950 damage. Sets one more card, and he's going to take 700.
Okay, this is the last turn of the duel, unless Milton can either tie it up. Well, really just unless he can tie it up. If he gets ahead, he wins. If he stays behind, he loses.
7,300 to 50-50. We have a 2250 life point difference at the moment, but Marcello is going to go down to 66. Milton needs 1550 to tie, 1551 to win. Who will be playing in the finals of the World Championship?
Barberry loses the extra 700 from Imperial Order.
But he got to keep it, and that is huge.
Yes. So none of Milton's spell cards will help him now. Masterpiece, unfortunately, for Barberry, isn't able to use its effect, though, because there are no continuous spell or trap cards in his graveyard. So right now, it's just standing as a 2,950 attack monster.
I feel like the best draw here is something like, I think that would be Ultimate Conductor.
That would be incredible.
Ultimate Conductor would get him there, I believe.
Does he have two dinosaurs in the graveyard?
I think he had Miscellaneous Ore in his hand, but I could just be misremembering.
Yeah, I only see a baby Ceratosaurus in his graveyard. So if he has a Miscellaneousaurus that he can discard.
Or any other dinosaur, because I believe you banish from hand or graveyard.
I think you're right. But actually, that's not enough damage.
But if he has that and another monster,
Yeah, he
like
needs...
say the Swanny's there, he can get 1,000 damage off of sending Masterpiece to the graveyard, and then attack for game.
Yes, he'll need a couple of cards to make this work. He discards
He does have
Miscellaneousaurus.
Miscellaneousaurus.
He has the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno.
He just picks up the Tyranno. Yeah.
So he banishes both the... Oh, he summons Suani!
So he had the exact hand, the one and only.
He has exactly what he needed, unless Barberry's face-down card can stop this. Milton will actually pull ahead with these two attacks.
If he could get Imperial Order into the graveyard.
That would do it. He'd be able to banish it to destroy his opponent's Ultimate Conductor Tyranno and wouldn't take the damage that would end the duel.
The problem is Miscellaneousaurus will be protecting Tyranno, so he'd have to hit... Yeah, he'd have to hit Swanny. And that way he'd only take 1,000. Because Swanny summons
Yes.
in defense,
Yes.
and that's assuming that it doesn't just miss the timing again.
But I don't think he has any way to get rid of Imperial Order. Does he even have a hand?
No.
It all hinges on what that face down card is. It looks like it's nothing. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno attacks Masterpiece to destroy it, and Swanee attacks directly to end the duel and the match.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Marcello actually, he played all of his cards right. It's just Milton had the one out.
Yeah.
Which is the exact combination of cards required to get
Yes.
around that field.
That seemed very unlikely, but it's exactly what happened.
And it's wild because that hand that he had was actually not very good, except in this one situation. And he
Yeah.
had just drew that Ultimate Conductor right here. He did not have that before. So he drew
Wow.
into the last piece he needs, and Barbieri is eliminated.
What a comeback.
Leaving our first place finisher from the preliminary rounds yesterday on to the finals, where he will be taking on another dinosaur deck. And that will be Ryosuke Sugimura of Japan. So that's going to be our finals for the main TCG event, Milton versus Sugimura. We will have a third and fourth place match coming up a little bit later. The finals for Dragon Duel will be Rafael versus Ryan Yu. That's Chainburn versus, I believe, True Draco, but I will get that for you in just one moment.
That was quite the match.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Chainburn and Rafael Reich, who is True Draco. And it's the Kaiju deck. Oh no, it's not True Draco. It sort of is. This is a very interesting deck. I think we have a pretty good Dragon Duel finals coming up. I see Alistair, I see Kaijus, I see True Dracos.
It's a little over everything.
Oh, yeah, it's a little bit of everything. Okay, well that could be a very interesting match coming up.
We saw a lot of creative decks from the Dragon Duelists this weekend.
Mm-hmm. And it served them very well.
It did. A lot of them advanced very far.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be a little disappointing if you're Barbieri to play everything exactly right and
Yeah.
then have your opponent draw the one out there.
Yeah, it is satisfying knowing, though, that there was nothing you could have done differently to win.
Mm.
So, you know, it's a little bittersweet.
He's
But-
going to have to recover, though, because we've got a third and fourth place match coming up as well, where he's going to have to take on his fellow countrymen.
He will, for the pride of being the third place duelist in the World Championship.
Indeed. That's not all that are being given out today. We mentioned some prize cards yesterday. Those will be happening as well. There are game mats featuring the prize cards' new artwork, which hopefully we'll be able to show you a little bit later on in the broadcast once we have a sense of where they are. Yeah, it's just, I keep thinking about that one, and it all started out so well. Barbieri's Lose One Turn did exactly what it needed to do. Like, everything went just fine.
Right.
It just took too long.
Yeah. And then Duel 2, he just conceded
To
to save the
try
time
get
to be able to side deck. And the more I think about it, the more I like that decision,
Yep.
because having looked at the life point payments in his main deck and the burn effects in his side deck, I think he was entering the third duel in better shape, having conceded the second duel.
Mhm.
But in the end, it didn't make a difference.
No, it's that exact card combination. That was the
Yeah.
only thing that was going to get him there. And he just had it. And that's Yu-Gi-Oh!
That is Yu-Gi-Oh!
Sometimes you just believe in the heart of the cards and it gets you there. And it did for Milton of Singapore. So just to give you an idea of what our schedule is for today, we'll have our third and fourth place matchup from the all ages bracket. That'll be coming up next. Then we've got a very spectacular show for you after a lunch break. And after that, we'll get into the finals. We'll have all three in a row, the finals of Dragon Duel, then the finals from Duel Links. And then we have a special exhibition match, AR exhibition match. If you're familiar with the voice actor duels from the North American WCQs, for example, and some select YCSs, you'll get kind of an idea of what we're going to see here, but it's not quite the same. You'll see.
I am looking forward to it.
Definitely stay tuned for that. And then at the very end, we have our finals of the all ages event to determine the 2017 Yu-Gi-Oh! World Champion. And then we'll say goodbye to all of our players before we sign off for the day. So, I think it's just about going to wrap it up for us for this one. Matt, we'll see him next round as well. He'll be tagging in for the third and fourth place match.
That's right.
And, yeah.
We'll resume
I think
shortly.
That's about it. Don't go away.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the World Championships 2017. We're here for the third and fourth playoff. My name's Matthew Bell and I'm joined here by Michael Cohenum as we bring you coverage for this next match.
Yes, we have two Italian duelists dueling for third place. Either way, Italy will take third and fourth place in this tournament. Nevertheless, Marcello Barberi and Forner, is it Michael Forner?
Yes, Michael Forner.
Michael Forner would prefer third place.
Yeah, well, there's still that to play for. I mean, for these guys, I imagine they might feel a little bit hurt right now that the tournament's been ended and there are no European players left in the main event at this point.
Yep.
The final will be played by Ryosuke Sugimura and Shenfei Milton a little later today. It's actually what we were looking at that's really interesting. For the three different tournaments, each different region has kind of dominated that region. So we've got Asia for the TCG or main event. I suppose I could just say OCG in that situation. For the Dragon Duel, you've got the Americas continent with Rafael Marino Recht. Sorry, I can't say the German part. Versus Ryan Yu for that final. And Sweden, we got Tut Pup versus Timmy from Sweden and New Zealand, respectively, in Duel Links.
Yep.
So super interesting stuff. This match, if you guys haven't caught any of the previous matches from either of these two players, is a Windwitch Invoked versus a True Draco, the Card Demise True Draco build.
Yes, Barberi is using the True Draco deck that we saw in the previous round in the top four, whereas Forner is using the Windwitch deck. And while both of these duelists, I'm sure, we're hoping to play against each other in the finals, I'm sure they'll be giving it their all to take third place in this tournament.
Yeah, there's still the bragging rights to play for on the plane ride home.
Yes.
I think the guys are actually on the same flight as well. So
It's a ranking that will stay with them for the rest of their lives.
yeah, we'll be looking forward to getting over to the table. Trying to think if there's anything else we can say about these matches, because I believe we saw Michael Forner play yesterday versus the True Draco deck, and it all came down to whether or not he could secure the early Crystal Wing that had the immunities, so his opponent couldn't actually deal with the Crystal Wing, and he just pretty much rode that to victory.
That's likely to happen again, because it doesn't look like there are too many answers in Barberi's deck.
So this might actually become a game of side decks, depending on whether Michael Forner opens with this Crystal Wing. Because the Invoke deck seems to struggle with the actual True Draco side of the deck, but the Wind Witches, on the other hand, give you the support to actually handle that. Barberi, I believe in his side deck he had Kaijus and stuff, right? No, he didn't. He had
Just a couple of Time
Vanity
Lords.
Fiends as well. Yeah, those would be pretty good against the Invoke deck. Yeah, it should be an interesting match. I think Michael Forner is technically favored to win game one, but
I'd agree. I think he has a better match here than he does against the Dinosaur deck, which has easy access to dog around the Kaiju, which can be used to tribute the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon.
Yeah, this is absolutely the match that Michael Forner would have wanted to play. Admittedly, he wanted to play that in the finals, but
certainly,
there's still the playoff, and both these guys are going to go home with the second through fourth place prize card.
But I'm sure they both wanted the championship title.
Yeah, well, they just have to come again next year. Marcello
true.
technically qualified twice for this event this year, so why not?
He made it on points and also for topping the Continental.
Winning the WCQ.
WCQ.
He just did both in 1 year, why not? We even had time to do some other commentary as well for some of our events. But an absolute spectacular run for both of these duelists in this tournament. Third and fourth place is still pretty huge in this tournament. Everyone, there's some people that will discuss that the World Championship is such a small event, but at the end of the day, the quality of player, especially at this year's World Championship, have been phenomenal. You had Billy Brake, Joshua Smith, Shinsuke Hiyama, the former world champion. There's been a lot of really strong players, and to climb this high up on them at this point is a great achievement.
Yeah, you have the best players in the world here.
No, as the title would imply, or you'd hope so.
As
right?
you might guess from the 2017 Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship.
They should just say it all on the logo, really.
The best players in the world.
Yeah, I guess we'll just we'll wait for these guys to start. We hope you guys are enjoying the World Celebration events as well back home that are taking place over this weekend.
This is the first year that's happening, so that's a very cool event.
Yeah, to give you guys a little bit of a background of how we, why we switched to this sort of system is we had this super interesting thing where you'd run the World Championships in one region and only one region would really benefit from it. And what would happen is all the players they'd come to your event, which would be great, and then the stores were kind of sad because all their players went, and so there was no Yu-Gi-Oh! In those stores over the weekend. It's like the biggest weekend for Yu-Gi-Oh! And we actually wanted to make it so more duelists had access to the World Championship celebration stuff that we do at the events. And so we wanted to move that more to your local store so you could go there, turn on the live stream, have some games, get a chance to win some of the stuff you would have won at the World Championships, and we could get it out to everybody, everywhere this time. Yeah. But that's all I'm going to say about that. You guys can probably net deck some of these decks for your events later, but if you want to see how they're played, let's get started. Both players scout their opening hands to consider their initial play. Michael to start.
Foreigner starts out with Alistair the Invoker.
That's going to let him search his deck for an Invocation and get the engine started. The thing I really like about this Invocation is just a way that you keep this constant stream of pressure, because you can just, after you resolve the Invocation, banish the Alistair, you can return the Invocation and get the Alistair back to your hand. And you can just keep doing this cycling of different fusion monsters. Okay, he gets rid of, I think that was...
That's Ice Bell.
Ice Bell.
Not Ice Bell, sorry, that's Snow Bell. The one of.
Okay, so we're not going to be seeing the Crystal Wing this game.
That's exactly what that means. So he is now solely reliant on the invoked portion of his deck. He must not have opened with Wind Witch Ice Bell. If he had, we might have seen the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon here instead. Instead, he's going to have to lean on the invoked Raging.
That'd be interesting. I imagine Marcello is pretty happy to see that. In fact, these two duelists played in Swiss yesterday, I believe, in the final round, and their match actually ended in a draw. So we'll see if the last game's experience has helped either of these duelists come up with a game plan to get through. So that's invoked Raijin with the effect to be able to flip monsters down as a quick effect into face-down defense position. Very disruptive card and pretty big on the defense as well. Marcello goes for his Pot of Desires.
Banishes the top 10 cards of his deck. And let's see if Warner has the...
Yep.
He does! Ash Blossoming Joyous Spring negates Pot of Desires. We're seeing that a lot on Barbari's side. We saw it in the last feature match as well.
Oh, really?
In the previous round, he banished 10 cards and then lost out to Ash Blossom.
I didn't actually get to catch the last feature match because I was in the pits basically reporting all the results so you guys could see what was going on for the rest of the tournament. So,
don't worry, you get to see it here.
I've missed apparently so many amazing matches this weekend as a result, including a Balance of Judgment for 7 cards.
That's probably my favorite.
As one of those players that really appreciates Chain Burn, I know everyone hates it. I'm quite sad I missed that feature.
Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix on Barbari's field. He sets 3 back rows and then passes without much going on. Foreigner activates Magical Meltdown. He wants to search for Alistair. Let's see if Barbari lets him. He does.
I'm trying to think of what Marcello could have set, but he's got quite a few different live back row cards that he could have been going with. So it's a little bit difficult to tell.
Yeah, I mean, they could be True King or True Draco trap cards.
Yeah, if they're True Draco trap cards, then he has a lot of live plays available to him this turn, providing he has one tribute monster.
That's the key. He needs the monster.
But he's set for play Pot of Desires.
Raging switches into attack position and attacks directly along with Alistair.
Oh, these attacks are going to connect. Okay, that
looks like it.
Marcello probably didn't open spectacularly then.
It looks pretty weak for him. I mean, he played Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix and did nothing with it. So, if that's any indication of how strong his hand is, this is a bit of a struggle for him.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Raijin causes a few problems because if you'd used the trap card, use its effect to tribute summon Dynamite Knight, the Raijin would have been able to flip down the Dynamite Knight, but then the trap card could then, if he would have attributed the trap card, he would have been able to destroy the Raijin. So, no, I think Marcello's hand is just...
He needs the monster is the key. I mean, Dynamite Knight also would have activated if he tried to put it face down.
Yeah, so he would have then been able to go places with that. Okay, yeah, he's going to start lowering his opponent's monster's attack to take out the Magical Meltdown. That really implies that Marcello's hand is Ah, yeah, he's doing everything he can to dig here. He needs to
Yeah.
get some. He needs to get some gas.
It's pretty desperate. Drew Draco Heritage, he draws one more card. He needs a monster. He can turn this around if he just picks up a monster.
Yeah, it's one of the weaknesses to the Card of the Demise variant. It only plays like how many monsters has he got there?
He has 8.
8 monsters. Okay, so just under a 1 in. What's that? 1 in 4.
1 in 5.
1 in 5.
It's a 40 card deck, I believe he's playing. It is exactly a 40 card deck.
Oh yeah. What? Yeah. So he's. Yeah. Here we go. Okay. Now he's
He got,
finally, he's
he
getting
got a
there.
monster whose effect gets more monsters, so that's a pretty good one
That's-
to pick up.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Way for him to start getting back into this game.
He's reminded he is not allowed to change the spell and trap card zone of his face down cards.
Not particularly relevant in this tournament, but it's as
No.
something that's going to be going forward. It's a definite no-no to start moving your cards around.
So True Draco Apocalypse's effect destroys the Ragin, and then an attack from Majesty Maiden takes down Alistair.
Yeah, Michael still has that invocation that he picked up on turn 1. So Michael has, and he hasn't really been committing a whole bunch of cards to the field, just the direct attacks. So he's got some room here. Although the Majesty Maiden will be able to offer Marcello an additional option as soon as Michael tries to play anything. And here comes the invocation, and yeah, Marcello immediately taps the Maiden.
I think we'll see him get Masterpiece.
That seems likely.
Depending on his face down cards, he may prefer Dynamite.
Yeah, Dynamite could be pretty good for more digging here, or at least setting up the True King return after he's got a few True Dracos, and then he can start really dragging the match out. As we saw yesterday, this True Draco deck really able to put up really horrible tar pit for players to crawl through, and really makes it a war of attrition.
You can't see from here which monster he did add to his hand, but I suspect we will find out very shortly when he summons it.
And now we've got to see this invocation is going to banish the Raijin and the Alistair to summon Raijin number 2. And invocation going back into the deck, Alistair coming back to the hand.
The Alistair and Invocation combo is a pretty interesting package.
Yeah, absolutely. As we said a little bit earlier, it just gives you such a great flow of monsters every turn
Yeah.
to keep pressuring your opponent. And they're not small either. All of the invoked monsters are pretty impressive in their own regard.
And they have very diverse effects as well, so they're relevant in many situations.
Oh, we are going to see skill drain though, and that's going to be able to shut Michael off of that part of his engine. With Alistair getting negated, he's not going to be able to get his invocation search.
Foreigner could chain the effect of Ragin.
He could, but he chose not to.
Yeah, he probably doesn't need to because he has a stronger monster already. Although he could chain it actually to Alistair to use his effect, can he?
Yeah, absolutely. He flips his Alistair down. He could have then took the search if he wanted it, but he's elected not to.
Does Ragin lets you target your own monsters, right?
I'll quickly double check that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The attack on him is 22 or 24?
It is 2200 attack, 2400 defense.
All right, that's what I was remembering. Okay, yeah.
oh,
So he didn't flip his own monster down because then he wouldn't have been able to attack over the maiden because her attack is 2300. Oh, Cosmic Cyclone going to take out the True King return. Marcello was already... Okay, so we do know he had added another monster, and now he has a continuous spell, continuous trap, and a monster in his hand, so he's definitely got some plays to make.
Foreigner is no longer too concerned about the skill drain now that he has the dominating field.
That's likely to change very quickly though, because we know Marcello added a monster, and that whichever monster he added would immediately be bigger than anything Michael has in play.
That's true. If Foreigner does have another Alistair in his hand, however, he can increase Ragin's attack points by discarding it.
That's true.
I'm not sure what's in his hand, but that's a possibility, and that could.
Oh, he does have access to 2 Alistairs because he played the Magical Meltdown a little earlier, didn't he? And he had Alistair on turn 1 before the Meltdown, so he does have the second Alistair.
I think you're correct.
These are things that are probably easier to remember when you're actually playing.
Yeah.
And there we go. We're going to see Dynamite Knight.
So I guess that's the card he searched for. He tributes True King's Return. But it's also possible Masterpiece is just gone because he desired this game.
That's very true as well. And yeah, True Draco Heritage is going to add in discard. And off the top, that's a very good card to add. The Pot of Desires. This card, whenever your deck can support it, is always extremely strong. It's just in recent years and formats, of course, with the game changing, so you need to depend on your special summons. Players can't really afford the drawbacks. I think Marcello just added Card of Demise to his hand as well, so he's going to just start nitro boosting his resources.
He attacks Alistair to destroy it. And if you're right, and that was in fact a Card of Demise, he's bound to play it. He draws 3 more cards from his deck since his hand is currently empty.
And he has access to an extra normal summon if he does draw another True Draco, and he's got 2 spell and trap zones available to set cards. Oh, Upstart Goblin.
Draconic Diagram.
Wow, it's all just coming straight out of the deck now. From the slow start Marcello had, I imagine he's actually pretty lucky that Michael wasn't able to really press out very hard in the opening stages of this game.
Yeah.
But that's generally seems to be the trend of a lot of top competitive decks. Is as soon as they get going, they're very secure. As long as you get out of the early game.
Diagram destroys Pot of Desires since he doesn't want to banish another 10 cards.
Yeah, I imagine actually at this point he'd be running extremely low on cards if he did that.
He definitely is. He uses Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix. Gets to use it to send 3 cards back and draw 1. Foreigner's Field is completely empty.
And he's got a skill drain to contend with.
Yeah, this won't be easy for him. Barry discards True Draco Apocalypse in his end phase due to the effect of Card of Demise.
Yeah, Michael looks pretty jammed there. And after committing the Cosmic Cyclone to the True King's Return as well, he implied he was actually more comfortable with this skill drain than maybe he is. Let's quickly scout the graveyard. And he's going to go push out with Invocation. Yeah, with the skill drain face up though, that Invocation, I'm just trying to think of what he could be.
Whatever he takes will have no effect, so there's really not much he can do. What's his strongest?
I'm just trying to remember which of the invokes are. He goes for a Purgatrio, but Purgatrio won't gain any attack points.
No, he doesn't run the Earth one. It looks like.
Yeah,
That would have been the strongest.
Yeah, that one's pretty gigantic.
Purgatrio has 2,300 attack points. I think he still has an Alistair in hand, right?
Yeah, if he played the Invocation, he's probably picked the Alistair back up.
Nevertheless, he is not in good shape.
No, he made the commitment with his Cosmic Cyclone, and to be fair, he was taking out a True King Return, which would have put him in the tar pit situation we saw him in yesterday, just constantly trying to deal with these recurring True Draco monsters. But by leaving the skill drain, he's kind of prevented himself from actually advancing his field very easily. Imperial Order coming up from Michael. And
Cosmic Cyclone, chained by Barbari. He gives up 1,000 life points to banish Imperial Order from the duel.
So Marcello is going to be free to use his spell cards this turn. Let's see where he goes from here.
He probably use the Imperial Order on the activation of the Diagrams effect.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, he was using Diagrams Destroy.
So he destroys the True Draco Heritage, and now gets a monster from his deck. Well, any True Draco or True King card from his deck. We're likely to see a monster here.
Yeah, Michael's life points are starting to get quite low. I should say over half isn't low, but in this particular format, in this day and age, it is pretty low.
This Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix actually is activated, so he gets to draw one card.
Yeah, Marcello is extremely comfortable right here. Effect tribute his trap. Yep, and then he's got 5,000.
Yes, Dynamite tribute summon by tributing True King's Return. True King's Return activates, destroying Purgatrio, and then 2 direct attacks from Dynamite, the True Draco fighter, ends the duel by dealing 5,000 points of damage.
Yep, that's pretty rough for Michael. Especially after his beginning, he just had Marcello was very, very slow and was absolutely desperately trying to dig into his deck to get going. Michael Forner, on the other hand, he wasn't able to take advantage of that, and the game went on a little bit too long, and then he was forced to commit his Cosmic Cyclone to either True King Return or Skill Drain. He chose to return, and it just didn't pay out for him because it then prevented him from doing anything else for the rest of the game.
Yeah, starting with Wind Witch Snowbell in your opening hand is also never really good. And not starting with Wind Witch Ice Bell is even worse. So Forner definitely did not have the ideal hand, especially in this matchup where Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, protected by the lingering effects of the Wind Witch monsters, is so powerful.
Yeah, it would have. It could have potentially been enough to allow Michael to win, especially during the slow start, because the Crystal Wing also just hits you for 3,000 damage. It's so huge. But shoulda, woulda, coulda. Michael's going to have to rethink this, because now Marcello gets a chance to get into his side deck in order to prepare for any potential start. So it should be pretty interesting. But Michael is playing 3 copies of Master Restrict to stop the True Draco deck from getting off the ground. So that could be a problem for Marcello, giving him more things that he has to spread his spell and trap removal over.
Well, he also main decked Zombie World, along with 3 copies of Set Rotation to get it. Zombie World is basically the same thing as Mask of Restrict.
Yeah, so that's like the 4th copy in this case.
It's like the 7th copy, if you count the Set Rotations and search for it.
And the terraformings.
Oh, that's true too. It's like he has 9 copies, if you count the 2 terraformings.
That's a lot of Zombie World. Yeah, Marcello actually winning an unfavorable matchup for game 1, so he must be feeling pretty great now. When you play something like this, it's a little bit out of the left field. You really, really want to be winning these game 1s. And the players will just get prepared to play the next round.
I think it actually will get easier for Forner, though, in the second duel, now that he can put in all those Mask of Restricts.
Absolutely.
As well as Zaphion the Time Lord, which is very powerful against True Draco. He has 3 copies of that.
Yeah, he really has committed hard onto the Zaphion, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Being able to sweep away all of your opponent's spells and traps. Very, very powerful, especially for a deck that needs to commit them because of Card of Demise.
Exactly. It's interesting because Michael Forner probably came prepared to play against True Draco. I'm not sure Marcello Barberi came prepared to play against straight Wind Witch.
I know he would have practiced this stat matchup for the WCQs. I'm not sure how much of his time he would have probably tested the Invoke deck because of its success throughout the WCQ season, just to see what it was worth. And he's obviously come to the conclusion that the True Draco Demise build was the best deck for this tournament. So he knows the fundamentals of the Invoke deck. I won't put that past him. And
the duelists are shuffling up in what could be their final duel of the tournament.
Final duel of the season. Although, to be fair, this season does start again next weekend, but for the 2017-2018 season. sorry. Okay, sorry guys, I just got some news. They agreed to randomly side deck 15 cards for this match, and the judges actually approved it, so they don't know what they've side decked in. They're not actually taking this match seriously. Huh, kind of would have expected, they really won the third place, but they're just having fun. Like, as I said, these guys are on the same plane home, so I guess that's just a case of they have no idea what's going on. But now Michael will get to search through his deck and then see all the cards. And you see, look at his face. Look at his face there when he just went for his deck. Oh, wow. I guess if they've completely randomly side decked, he has no idea what he's taken out.
I'm speechless.
For World Championship. And he's just like, want to randomly side deck? Sure. Huh. I kind of feel like I was too invested in this match now.
All right. In any case, Foreigner summons Alistair. He activates its effect, but loses out to Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring.
And Michael going to set 2 cards and pass it back to Marcello. I think I saw Card of Demise, Imperial Order in Marcello's hand, and Pot of Desire is going to add 2 additional cards, assuming Michael doesn't have the Ash Blossom.
And he does.
Every time. Every time.
This is Marcello Barberi's fate in every duel.
I mean, see the little Ash Blossom running off with every Pot of Desires that someone has.
Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is a very popular card in this tournament, but I'm a little surprised by how much I'm seeing it hit Pot of Desires.
Very specifically. Michael does have his Mask of Restricts in his deck, and there's the Card of Demise come down for Marcello.
Foreigner can only activate 1 Ash Blossom per turn, so Barberi knows that this Card of Demise will resolve. He draws 3 cards.
I think he drew 2.
Was it 2?
Yeah. Maybe he drew. Maybe it was 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pot Desires. That'd be 5, but he went second.
You might be right. Either way, in the end phase, he's left with Vanity's Fiend in his hand and is forced to discard it.
Yeah, with the Mask of Restrict in play, he's not going to be making any tribute summons.
No, and that's difficult because one of the ways that this deck destroys spell and trap cards is by tribute summoning the True Dracos, tributing a spell card. But it cannot be done with Mask of Restrict on the field. So some of your cards that actually could destroy trap cards can't destroy Mask of Restrict.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's one of those super awkward things where you, depending on your spell and trap removal, to be part of your natural mechanics, but when you can't access them, it leaves you in this kind of awkward position where, because you probably have gone really light on your other spell and trap removal as a result, because your deck is already doing that just by functioning. So that could be leaving Marcello just sitting there until he draws a Cosmic Cyclone.
Yeah, so Foreigner summons Alistair, uses this effect to get Invocation, and now Invocation hits the field, but Imperial Order will negate it.
Michael quickly grabs his card, Cosmic
Foreigner
Cyclone.
Chains Cosmic Cyclone, pays 1,000 life points to banish Imperial Order. Since it's a continuous trap card, and it now is off the field, the Invocation will resolve successfully.
And Purgatrio, the likely... Oh no, he's going to go for his opponent's graveyard to have a quick check. And
Makaba, it looks like.
oh, he took out his opponent's Ash Blossom. So he's going to then make a Purgatrio. He's going to gain a few attack points. What was that? 2, 4, 6... Yeah, an additional 600 attack points, and then he's going to have Piercing.
Gains... Yeah, you're right. It's 200 for each card your opponent controls.
And he's on 2300 base, right?
It is. 2,300 attack, 2,000 defense points.
Oh, we just got a result from Duel Links, which was the 3rd and 4th playoff. Samson wins that match.
So he is the 3rd place Duel Links competitor.
Yes, congratulations to him. Very well played.
So Barberi flips True King's Return, and True Draco Apocalypse uses the Apocalypse to destroy the return, and uses the return's effect to thereby destroy Purgatrio.
That's a lot of cards to essentially throw away to get this Purgatrio
It
out of lane.
really is, but Purgatrio was pretty important to get rid of.
Absolutely, yeah. Michael still having access to invocations, though, so he's going to be able to just, especially since he has another Ash Blossom in his own graveyard, he can summon another Purgatrio on the following turn. Marcello laughing, he probably drew one of those wacky side deck cards that he wasn't expecting to be in his deck. Good sportsmanship, at least, even though the guys can't play for the championship, they're having fun with Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is at the end of the day what it's all about.
It is. Forner summons another Alistair, searches for another invocation, activates it to destroy the Alistair, banish rather, Alistair, along with, looks like a Fire Monster, probably the Purgatrio. No,
That's the Ash Blossom.
an Ash Blossom. Okay, summon another Purgatrio. This one will have 2700 attack and still pierces, and if Barberi was afraid of Purgatrio before, there's no reason he wouldn't be now.
Yeah, he committed quite a few resources just to get it out of play, so
Yeah.
you know it was definitely on his mind. The set card from Marcello has to be a hand trap, right?
Probably. I can't imagine what else it would be.
He had yeah.
Yeah, it's an Ash Blossom. He probably just said it because...
He had nothing else to do.
Yeah, it was either if he was going to lose it to Card of Demise or he wanted to draw an extra card with Card of Demise. I don't remember when he said it, but it was definitely one of the two.
Yeah. And of course, with the max restrict in play, he was just going to. It's either just letting direct attacks through or not in this case.
So, Purgatrio pierces through it. It does absorb some of the damage, 1800 points. But then Alistair will attack directly, and Barberi appears to be in dire straits.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Marcello picking up his cards soon, but then he's pulled himself out of worse situations.
He activates Terraforming.
Oh, that's pretty nice. He's gonna be able to get his.
If it's nice if he didn't side out his Dragonic Diagram.
He does have his diagram, which will allow him to. Well, actually, I'm trying to think of what he could do here. If he destroys his Apocalypse, he can take out a monster and search for a True Draco card, but he still can't actually summon any of his.
That's
True
true,
Dracos.
but he can destroy the Apocalypse and maybe get Heritage to draw a card and hope for the best. But Twin Twisters is going to come down. He'll probably destroy only...
Oh, he takes them
Nope.
both out.
He takes down the Apocalypse and the Diagram. I'm a little surprised about that.
It's like, are you sure you don't want to destroy my Alistair?
And then the Apocalypse will destroy Purgatrio.
Yeah, but we know Michael's just going to have another invocation, and he's playing... He's not playing any more copies of Purgatrio.
Barberi ends his turn with a completely clear field. Forner summons another Alistair to grab another invocation from his deck.
And we're going to see some more magic dance, as these Alistairs get turned into other magical creations.
Invocation is resolving.
And Raijin going to be the fusion monster of choice. Yep, 3,200 points going towards Marcello. Meaning the remaining attack points on Michael Forner's field is going to be enough to close out the duel if Marcello doesn't do anything, but he just can't play the game right now because of this Mask of Restrict.
He just ends his turn and waits for Forner to finish him off.
And we're going to game 3.
Third and final duel.
I wonder if they'll take this one more seriously.
I don't know.
I don't think so. Like, why? Like, when if Marcello was serious about winning, he would have never have agreed to that. So we'll have to wait and see how they how these guys decide to. He's going for his deck, and look, he just this is the face of someone surprised. That's good. One of the craziest things I've seen. Well, definitely this weekend. So what are your thoughts on the final match then? Can we make any kind of predictions if they're going to just side deck randomly?
The final duel of this match?
Yeah, this one.
I don't know. All bets are off.
Yeah. I guess we just kind of have to wait and see what comes up. Based on their side decking, we have no way of knowing if they're going to take it, if they're going to be serious or not. We'll talk a little bit about Samsung. Congratulations to him making third place on Duel Links.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I'm just trying to remember who his opponent would have been in that bracket. It would have been the player from Indonesia, but I have forgotten his name. Silent something. It's on one of these things somewhere. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, Silent Loft. Yeah, went over Silent Loft.
All right. Even though I don't know what they did with their side decks in that duel, I will say that Mask of Restrict actually proved to be a pretty critical card, and that was a side deck card.
Yep, it was in there. Mask Restrict, that's primarily its entire function is to stop the True Draco player from actually getting into the game. And Marcello was, again, desperately just trying to find a way to play any of his cards and making really unfavorable trades of his cards. And yeah, he was in, to be fair, he was in a position where he had to throw away cards to prevent himself just getting obliterated anyway.
Right.
So it's like, either I lose or I make really bad exchanges. And he's like, well, I'm going to make the bad exchanges and try and make the best of this awful situation. But in the end, it wasn't actually enough. He just gets run over anyway, because then eventually he runs out of things to do. And that's all she wrote. Going into the final match, Marcello gets to choose to go first. I imagine he's going to take the first turn, because he doesn't want his opponent to open with the Crystal Wing.
Yeah, and he also doesn't want his opponent to open with Mask of Restrict before he contributes summon a monster.
Yep.
So it's definitely to his advantage to choose to go first.
It's very much in his interest to to go first.
But will he do what's in his interest?
Again, at this point, we have no idea. We'll just have to wait and see.
One would assume.
I'll tell you one thing, a match I am super looking forward to seeing will be Raphael versus Ryan Yu in the Dragon Duel final a little bit later. Raphael, apparently, he was talking to his translator, and his translator asked him, oh, in the final, which would you be more worried about playing against, the mirror match, which is a True Draco mirror match, or Chain Burn? And he said, I'm not worried about Burn at all.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like,
that's pretty confident.
I think actually, I'm not sure, I'd have to check this, but I think Raphael actually beat Ryan in the Swiss.
So
but
he's going for a repeat.
I very rarely hear people say, yeah, I'm hoping for a burn match.
Yeah.
I'm totally ready for this.
I am not worried at all. Pretty strong words. All right, third and final duel is underway, and Marcello Barberia uses Terraforming to search for a Dragonic Diagram.
I also saw in Marcello's hand Time Lord Zaphion. Interesting. Yeah, probably makes sense. We'll see how Marcello chooses to set up.
Zaphion can get rid of Mask of Restrict, right?
I wasn't sure off the top of my head if it was just set cards or if it's all spells and traps. All spells and traps, yeah. So yeah, there's it can clear out the Mask of Restrict.
Yes, it's at the end of the battle phase of this card battle. Shuffle all spells and traps your opponent controls into the deck.
Yeah, that's additional spell and trap removal that he doesn't need to tribute summon for. It's very strong card for him in this match then. Well, post side deck match.
Oh, and there it is. Normal summons Zaphion. Can be summoned without tribute as long as you control no monsters. He sets 2 cards and then uses Card of Demise.
And as long as he didn't draw any monsters. But he could have drew a combination with one of the spells that gives him an extra normal tribute
That's
summon.
true. So he picked up 3 cards. One of them was part of Duality, which he is going to use. I'm sure as much as he would love that Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring,
Not good here.
he cannot take it because if he does, he will discard it in the end phase due to the effective Card of Demise.
He goes for True King's Return, so that probably means that definitely confirms in his hand he has some True Draco monsters. So
Well, not necessarily, because he's going to discard his hand in the end phase.
yeah, but if he sets a True King's Return, he can then get those monsters out of the graveyard.
Well, that's true.
Otherwise, the Card of Demise would have been super tempting for the additional resources on the following turn. Oh, and Pot of Desires. Wow. Okay, he had all the draw cards this game.
It's not getting hit by an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring for once. He actually gets to draw 2 cards this time.
Actually resolves Pot of Desires. Wow. Michael just forced to sit back and watch. And we're going to see Vanity Fiend discarded.
That's in the end phase due to the effect of Card of Demise.
I would guess so, but after destroying the 2 cards from Pot of Desires as well, I would have thought he would have definitely had some more spells or traps to set.
What did he just...
How did he discard the...
Oh, he's destroying it from his hand with the
Oh,
Draconic Diagram to search his deck.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, this is not the end phase, yeah.
Yeah, this
No,
is-
he didn't point to the card, so it was unclear he was activating the effect, but he obviously communicated it to Forner, so he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, we actually don't have live voice feed to the table, so we've got a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! Miming going on that we're trying to interpret for you guys.
So Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix for Marcello Barberi. And he activates it.
Yeah, which means he could be considering using his extra normal summon. Does he choose to... Yep, he goes for the 2 tributes, Masterpiece, Spell, and Monster Effect Immunity, and he gets to draw a card for the Zaphion.
It's pretty... Zaphion's really strong. He didn't even get to use its effect, and he managed to draw a card with it.
It's
Because they sent to the graveyard effect.
yeah, it's been one of the breakout cards for this weekend from the side deck.
For sure.
We never saw any Time Lords, and then for example, I saw in Joshua Smith. Admittedly, his record wasn't amazing this weekend. He had quite a few Time Lords, not even just Zaphion in there.
Camion was seeing some play also.
Yes.
And of course, Time Maiden. So True Draco Heritage gets activated. He uses an extra normal summon to tribute summon Dynamite by getting rid of Crew King's Return. Then, since he tributed a spell and a trap card this turn, he gets to use the Heritage to draw 2. And then he sets everything and has nothing to discard with Card of Demise. So this was actually an amazing opening for Marcello Barberi.
Yeah, he just has all the draw cards and just gets himself an almost perfect setup there. Not sure what Michael's going to be doing to get out of it because Masterpiece... Oh, it's okay, set rotation.
Set rotation, alright. I mean, Masterpiece has already used and accomplished what he needed it to do.
Yeah, he's already managed to deploy and get his setup.
Zombie World can stop tribute summons, but again, you know, the tribute summon monsters are already on the field.
Yeah, and Masterpiece can just clear it anyway.
That too.
But Michael might have a plan here. Yeah, he's more interested in getting his own Magical Meltdown. And he gives Marcello Closed Forest. Alright, so that's going to let him go get his Alistair and then followed up with Invocation. And his opponent does have a Dark Monster in his
World's
graveyard.
competitors, a little over 2 minutes left in the round.
And we just heard that there's just a little over 2 minutes on this round left, and we can see the timer on the screen there for you guys.
There's not much going on for Forner.
Yeah, this is a really awkward situation to be in.
He'll summon the Alistair. Grabs an Invocation from his deck with its effect. Doesn't have an answer to Masterpiece though, from those cards alone at least.
No, even if he fusion summons, he doesn't really have an answer for. He doesn't have an answer for the Masterpiece because it will just clear away anything that threatens it. It's one of the reasons the card is so obnoxious.
Yes.
Okay, Wonder One.
Wonder One's good, but Barberi could use Masterpiece to just destroy the Alistair in order to avoid Forner drawing 2 cards. Alistair in the grave is basically the same as Alistair on the field, since it would be banished either way by Invocation, but it might be worth it just to get rid of the Wonder Wand.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, the Wonder Wand doesn't the Wonder Wand and the Alistair doesn't threaten you in any way.
That is true. And Barberi appears to agree as he's letting Forner draw the 2 cards, reserving his Masterpiece's effect to destroy something more relevant.
Yeah, well, because of the we don't know what his other face down cards are. I imagine he's the only thing he's going to take out is something that's guaranteed to threaten his Masterpiece.
Yes.
And he can just sit back and wait.
The only thing he would have to worry about is Forner drawing something like a Kaiju that gets rid of the Masterpiece before he has the chance to activate its effect.
Oh, interesting. He's going to summon Invoked Cocytus. Who cannot be destroyed by card effects. I can't remember the defense. It's
I think it's 2,900. I want to look it
yeah,
up.
it was north of. I knew it was north of 28.
Yeah, it's 1,800 attack, 2,900 defense points.
Ah, so it's still 50 defense points weaker than the Masterpiece.
Right, so it really doesn't do much for him.
That is time in the round. Once again, it is time in the round.
Okay,
Please
and
go into your 3 turn end of match procedure. If you have questions, please ask your judge.
okay, and they're going to end a match procedure. And this heavily favors Martello since he's already managed to set up on his first turn, so he'll get the battle phases he needs to make the most of this.
Yes, then the Cocytus really doesn't do anything.
No.
Just absorb an attack, it looks like.
It just kind of sits there and looks scary.
Yeah. Oh, Forner's definitely going to set more than one card. Otherwise, it'll just get picked off by Masterpiece, and he'll be left with nothing on Barbari's turn.
Yeah, and then Barbara will just steamroll him.
And it looks like that might happen anyway. He does set the 2. Oh, Barbari does not. I think Barbari has some continuous cards in the graveyard, but I guess he's saving them.
Yeah, there's at least one in there.
Yeah, there might only be one, actually.
That would explain why he didn't go in the end phase. Oh, there's Mask Restrict.
But he tribute summoned 2 monsters.
He tributed... Oh, yeah, so
He should have at least 2.
Yeah, because he summoned Masterpiece and
Dynamite on his field.
Dynamite.
Mask of Restrict is flipped. It's a little late, unfortunately.
It would have been great if Michael was going first this game, but that's not the case.
Set rotation would have been way better going first as well. So this definitely hurt him.
Yeah, almost everything about Michael's hand would have been great if
Yeah.
the turn order was reversed. Mask Restrict being taken out. Marcello probably looking for a True Draco. Oh no, he's going to go.
Oh, the Monarch Storm 4th. Since the Monarch Storm 4th does not target, he can tribute the Invoked Cocytus to summon Dynamite Knight. And he now has 7,950 damage on the table.
50 short of what he actually needs. He's trying to see if the Closed Forest will give any attack points to his monsters.
I don't think it does.
It's only beasts, right?
I think so. Or it might increase all of them, but it's based on the beast in the graveyard. Let me see. We'll get that for you. All beast type monsters you control gain 100 attack points for each monster in your graveyard. So
Okay. Michael Forner going down to 50 life points. He's going to need the skill of the Pharaoh if he's going to get out of this one.
he will.
Because I actually have no idea how he does it if he's got the answer.
This is as desperate a situation as one could be in. 50 life points to the full 8,000.
Staring down an incredible
8
boss
cards
monster.
against none.
Right, so you want to start with Cards of Sanctity, draw 6 cards, and then consider if you've got a chance.
Yeah, maybe Card of Demise, but unfortunately that's only in Barbari's deck.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to see a normal summon Invocation.
There it is. He'll use Wonder Wand.
Wonder Wand for more cards.
That's pretty good. It's pretty outmaxed right now. True King's Return activates.
And
True Draco Apocalypse. He might destroy the True King's Return to destroy the Alistair, which would take the Wonder Wand down with it. depriving Forner of the 2 cards he wants to draw.
While also giving Masterpiece more ammunition to work with.
Yes, and preserving Masterpiece's effect to still use during the opponent's turn. Alright, he'll destroy the True Draco Heritage with the True Draco Apocalypse. Essentially the same idea. He just destroys the Wonder Wand itself instead of the Alistair.
Yeah, well, the Alistair is just now a liability in attack mode.
That's true.
As well. But we know Michael has the invocation, so he's going to be forced to play it. And he can get Purgatrio, so I guess he has to take out Apocalypse if he wants to go down this line, and one of the face-down cards, I guess.
Why Apocalypse?
Because if he doesn't, the Purgatrio, if it tries to make any attacks, will just get shrunk.
It was used already this turn.
Oh yeah, of course it was. Yeah.
So he'll Twin Twisters, the 2 face-down cards.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, sorry.
So that he sees everything. Well, this is kind of cool. He might turn this around with Purgatrio.
I don't know. The Masterpiece hasn't been used this turn, though, has it?
Oh, you're right. It hasn't. No, he's just going to get decimated by Masterpiece.
As does whatever a Masterpiece does.
Yeah, so Magical Meltdown goes down with one of the fallen spell cards on Barry's field. Purgatrio's up next.
Michael Forner's defiant last stand.
Yeah, worth a shot.
Giant screeching ghouls. Unfortunately, not going to be enough to get him there.
It does threaten all of Barbary's monsters, but Masterpiece is the proud protector.
He just holds up his shield and the light burns
and
away.
That's it.
Yeah.
Purgatrio's destroyed. Cosmic Cyclone certainly won't help with 50 life points left. And that's the match.
Third place, Marcello Barberi from Italy, taking one of the highest slots in the World Championships for this year. Wow, for an incredibly tough field as well.
A strong performance from Michael Forner as well, who took 4th place for Italy.
Yeah, very good year for Italy in the main event. Those were the last 2 European players, so we're out as well now, like you guys were as well. Yeah, both these guys should be really proud. They played very, very well this weekend, and congratulations to them. I imagine at this point you just kind of feel relieved that it's kind of like the stress is over. I know, like sort of when you...
it's always disappointing to lose, but at the same time, competing in the World Championship is surprisingly stressful.
Yeah, I mean, was that something for you when you got to the end of day 1 to come back to play for day 2 and you were like feeling stressed the next day and you spend the whole night worrying about it?
Well, I got 10th place, so I didn't make it to day 2,
oh,
unfortunately.
Man, sorry. I should have asked before we went on air and I asked that question.
Yeah,
sorry.
I had a 3-2 record and got 10th place. But I had an awesome time in Japan regardless. When I competed in the World Championship, it was actually in 2009 in Tokyo. I stayed at the same hotel I was at this weekend, so it was a crazy experience for me this weekend, reminiscing about my time as a competitor here. And it's such an experience to actually be invited to compete in this tournament. I remember it was now 8 years ago. I remember it was like it was yesterday.
Wow, time flies.
So I suspect all of the competitors in this weekend's tournament is having an experience they will never forget. And that is the true prize of the World Championship qualifier.
Yeah, this is just we've got such an exclusive stage for this tournament that from all the players, so few of them will ever even set foot on this stage, let alone more than once. So you've kind of got to take it in. But saying that, we did have repeat appearances from at least 2 of the competitors that I'm aware of.
It does happen when strong duelists remain dedicated to the game. They repeat success.
Yeah, just keep at it, guys, I guess, and you can get on the stage. I've actually never played the World Championship myself. Had a pretty good run at regionals a long time ago. But yeah, time flies. Actually, one of the funniest things we used to have is the intro videos you might remember from previous World Championships. One of the things you could see is they showed all the they used to show all the locations that we'd previously done it, but the problem was that video was getting exceptionally long at this point. But you could just see all of my colleagues and all of us sort of you can see as we've joined the company when we're young, and you can just slowly see us getting older through this little montage of videos.
Yeah, I was 19 when I first competed.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
This just it's just incredible that we've had this tradition going on for so long, and it still has the same magic to these players.
It does, and it's just the culmination of an entire year of tournaments.
Yeah, it's a great way to send it off and say, hey, this is the end of the season, guys. We're going to bring you to a location. We're going to throw down with the best guys. And it's not even just the stuff you see on screen that's super cool for the players. It's all the way they get to hang out, the tours and stuff.
Yes.
A lot of people, they try to avoid playing games like against each other because they don't really want to reveal how good they are or what their decks are. So they actually spend a lot more time talking about other stuff.
Hanging out. It's actually even though it's so competitive, it's very friendly between players.
Yes. Well, that brings us to the end of this round. We're going to be back very soon, and I believe we're either going to have the Duel Links final or the Dragon Duel final next. So please stay with us. We hope you're enjoying the show, and we'll see you soon.